well, they said that you would cause the next World War III, and in fact, you're solving all the problems.
I'm stopping wars. I'm stopping wars. And I hate to see people killed. Like, as an example, Ukraine and Russia. They're not Americans there being killed. They're not Israelis that are being killed. These are all Russians and all Ukrainians. But it's 5,000, maybe 7,000 last week, 7,500 last week, mostly soldiers. But people in towns and cities that are getting hit, but mostly death is mostly soldiers. Now, so they don't come from here, but it's 7,000 last week souls. And if I can stop that, you know, they have parents and they have sisters and brothers and getting married and who knows, they're just people, but they're souls. And if I can stop a war, you know, because I have an ability to do so, I'm disappointed, frankly, that President Putin hasn't stopped. I'm not happy about it either.
Mr. President, on the Iran talks, can you say that you scheduled the next round of Iran talks, and then also on strike?
We have scheduled Iran talks, and they want to talk. They took a big drubbing. I think when we hit the three sites, really, I would say the three sites, not just the one. The one was a big one, and it was deep in granite, and it was obliterated. It turned out the Atomic Energy Commission said it is obliterated. I would just want to take our hats off to those incredible flyers, the people that flew that big machine, and frankly, the mechanics and everybody else. I mean, they had zero. They flew for 37 hours with zero problem mechanically. I mean, when you think in carrying the biggest bombs ever, the biggest bombs that we've ever dropped on anybody, when you think non-nuclear, and we want to keep it non-nuclear, by the way. But they did a phenomenal job. It was an amazing job, and I think that was, I was talking to Bibi about it before, that was the very beginning of the end. It ended very quickly after that. I don't want to say what it reminded me of, but if you go back a long time ago, it reminded people of a certain other event, and is Harry Truman's picture is now in the lobby, in a nice location on the lobby where it should have been, but that stopped a lot of fighting. And this stopped a lot of fighting. When that happened, it was a whole different ballgame.
On future Iran strikes, what can you say, what might make you have the desire to do another strike on Iran?
Another what?
Another strike on Iran.
I hope we're not going to have to do that. I can't imagine wanting to do that. I can't imagine them wanting to do it. They want to meet. They want to meet. They want to work something out. No, they're very different now than they were 2 weeks ago.
Is there a date yet for the Iran talks, or a city? Do you know when and where the next round of Iran talks will be?
Well, I can tell you, I'd rather not say, but you'll be reading about it tomorrow or seeing it tomorrow.
Mr. President, what is the holdup currently in a ceasefire with Hamas?
In which?
In a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, what's currently the holdup?
I don't think there is a holdup.
Well,
I don't think there's a holdup.
do you think that you're going to...
I think things are going along very well. They just, you know, left each other, and it was not a pleasant period of a few days. It was longer than a few days, but this was not a pleasant period of time. And, you know, we were, at the end, missiles were shot, and every single missile was shot out of the air. It was pretty amazing. That was sort of the end. And they told us they were coming and where they were and what time they were coming. And they said, if you'd like to have a different time, we'll do that. And that's respect when they do that. I appreciated that they did that. There was no surprise. We got the soldiers out of the base in Qatar, in this case. But they knew they were coming. 14 missiles were coming. 1 o'clock, they said, would you like to make it later? They said, no, let them come at 1 o'clock. And at 1 o'clock, everybody was, as you know, over 5,000 people left the base. And we had 3 gunners and 3 assistants. And out of the 14 that were shot, all 14 were knocked down. And that was the end. That was about it. And we had a rough time. But sometimes, you know, sometimes you need the rough time in order to get. I think things are going to be really settled down a lot in the Middle East. And they respect us, and they respect Israel. They respect a lot of things that took place. Nobody's ever seen equipment like what we sent over to knock out those sites. But when those sites were knocked out, it essentially, that was the end.
Do you think that there